There's a lot of articles that we see on the internet that talk about the best games on the Nintendo Entertainment System. So let's take a look at this article and see what we think. Yeah, we're gonna do another one of these. The first one was kind of fun to do, so I figured let's look at another one. This one is gonna be by Outrun Gaming. This is 10 of the best NES games ever made, and this is by Mikey Yadden. This is from 3 months ago. They talk about in 1983, the world experienced a video game crash due to those flooded market with all those kind of junky Atari games and stuff like that. And then they brought in the Nintendo and everything changed. Nintendo is the foundation of modern gaming. Yeah, I would semi-agree with that. So let's look at 10 of the best games that saved our hobby. I don't know. I think maybe hobby isn't the right term. For some of us, this is our life. This is the thing we love, right? So let's see what they think. Let's see what Mikey thinks here for the 10 best games ever made on the NES. So the first one we're gonna look at here is Super Mario Brothers 3. This, I believe I would almost instantly agree with. It's Super Mario Brothers 3. It's the best Mario game on the NES for sure. It's definitely a top 10 game, in my opinion. They took everything that we saw in the first game, and they just made it so much better. The second game is a port of Doki Doki Panic, which we did get a lot of awesome things from that ended up in that world of the Super Mario Brothers. But the third one really did take it to another level. We had the raccoon suit, the frog suit, all the cool characters. We got the Koopa Kids in this one. The Koopa Kids actually are something that I wish they would have stuck with. I know we did get like Baby Bowser and they kind of really leaned hard into that. I always thought the Koopa Kids were really cool. This is such a great game. It says the Mario Brothers returned, pushing the console's hardware to its limit, and marked the release of one of the best games in the series. Definitely the best game in the series on the Nintendo. Super Mario World definitely took it to another level when we hit the Super Nintendo, but this is definitely the best one, in my opinion. On the Nintendo, they definitely got this one right. It doesn't look like there's really any order to this. They've got Contra on here. This is a great run and gun platformer. Yeah, this is definitely an awesome game. Would I put it in the top 10? Probably, because it is the first kind of its style, really, that a lot of us kids got to play and really enjoy. The Contra series on the Nintendo, super cool games. The first one kind of set the benchmark for the rest of them. Super C, it's a great game. It's my personal favorite of them. And then it did get a little sideways with Contra Force at the end of that series on the Nintendo. This one says that it's one of the best co-op games on the NES, having the different weapons and attacks, and definitely lots of layers. I mean, it brought us the Konami code, which it talks about here. I think they got this one right. Contra is definitely an amazing game. I would say it's probably a top 10 on a lot of people's lists. So I'm going to agree with this one. I'd say they're 2 for 2 so far. So good job, Mikey. You're doing pretty good so far. Number 3 on here is Dragon Warrior 4. The Dragon Warrior series is a really interesting series on the Nintendo. They definitely changed a lot as they developed. And number 4 is probably right up there in the series. It's probably the best one. I mean, number 3 is pretty great, but number 4, they really did a lot with the different characters and the different, playing those chapter style things. Let's see here. So they talk about, they avoided that trademark they couldn't use Dragon Quest, which is what these games are. So Dragon Warrior was born. They talk about the unique approach to storytelling. It was broken up, into those chapters. And each party member gets their own chapter. We get to play as those different characters and kind of see their stories as we go. The complexity of the didn't stop with this story. It extended to a vast overworld and gaming mechanics. I think I would agree with this one. Dragon Warrior 4 is a pretty amazing game in that series on the Nintendo. I mean, they were getting released in Japan, so we were kind of behind on them a little bit, which made it so these were maybe a little bit better by the time they got here. But yeah, Dragon Warrior 4, would I say it's a top 10 game on the Nintendo? I'm not sure if I'd put it in top 10. It's definitely probably a top 20 game. I don't know if I would land this one top 10, but you know what? Dragon Warrior 4, definitely a great game worth checking out if you haven't. So the next one they have on the list here is Tetris. This says that you've probably heard recent news stories about Tetris. And yeah, it's crazy. I mean, just last year, someone finally beat Tetris. The Tetris on the NES, it says this laid the groundwork for future iterations. Personally, I think the Game Boy version is the better version if you put it up against like the NES version. Honestly, the Tengen cartridge, because you can play 2 players with the Tengen cartridge, is a little bit more, you can attack it a little bit better. With a friend, you can have a lot of fun with it. I mean, let's be honest, Tetris made it so everybody and their grandma was playing video games back when it came out. It was something that everyone could pick up. There was that Tetris effect where you'd see the blocks when you were sleeping and stuff like that. Honestly, Tetris is an amazing game. Top 10 game? I don't know if I'd put it in a top 10 list. It's an amazing game for what it is and what it did. I would probably put it in the top 10 list if I was looking at Game Boy games, because the Game Boy version is so accessible and so well done. I know it's basically the same. I just think the Game Boy version is a little better than the Tetris on the NES. I don't know. I guess let me know what you think. Does Tetris deserve a top 10 position? If I had to pick a puzzle game on the NES to put as a top 10 game, I honestly don't know if I would put Tetris on there. I just don't know. I understand it's an amazing game. I just don't know if I would put it in the top 10 list.
You need a Tetris shot.
Tetris.
Have you been Tetrisized?
Square, rectangle, trapezoid, tetrazoid.
Nintendo introduces Tetris.
Put a piece here, put a piece there. Use your thumbs, use your eyes. Find yourself Tetrisized.
Now you're playing with power.
The next one on the list here, this is, I would say for sure in a lot of top 10 lists, I would probably put this. It'd be a toss-up between this one and Rescue Rangers for a top 10 list for me. DuckTales is an amazing game. DuckTales is one of the best platformers on the system, they say, paired with one of the best soundtracks ever made. The Moon theme in particular is considered one of the greatest video game songs ever created. It's definitely an epic theme song. I know they did use it on the new DuckTales cartoons that came out, so I can't even play you the Moon theme because I will absolutely get copyright striked. But it is an amazing game. The pogo stick, all of it. This is an amazing game. Anything Capcom back then, if you saw Capcom and it was a cartoon game, you were probably pretty safe to rent that and have a really good weekend playing it. I would say this is definitely a top 10 game for me. I love this game. I don't know why. Again, it'd be a toss-up between Rescue Rangers and DuckTales. They're both amazing games. Rescue Rangers because it's co-op and you can play 2 players, but DuckTales because it's DuckTales and because of what they talked about here. It does have an amazing soundtrack. It's got just great platforming. I would say DuckTales probably should be on a top 10 list. All right, the next one they've got on the list is River City Ransom. They talk about River City Ransom adding that RPG mechanic and depth to the beat-em-up genre, matching gameplay with the unusual humor and made it an instant classic. They say that you can earn money to buy items in shops and build up your character's abilities. River City Ransom is such a cool game. It does have that like open worldy feel to it where they talk about here. It's got those RPG mechanics. It's pretty railroad tracked, but you can definitely explore around. It doesn't feel like Double Dragon or something like that. River City Ransom definitely probably lands on a lot of people's top 10 games. I don't know if I would put it on my top 10 NES games, the best ever made. I understand that they really went above and beyond with this one. I understand that the legacy behind it is pretty cool. It's like the third one in the series that we kind of saw here. Renegade. It was a dodgeball, and then this one, or it's on that one or the other one with these characters. This is a cool game. To be a best game ever made, I feel like a lot of people, if you are picking a beat-em-up game to land on a top 10 list, you're going to look at one of the Double Dragon games. This one is pretty accessible for people, though. There's definitely some areas where you're kicking butt in one screen and you go to the next screen and you're getting your butt kicked. So it can be a little difficult at times. I do like that there's some exploring you can do. It's definitely a classic game. Let me know in the comments if you think River City Ransom should be on a top 10 list of the best NES games ever made. The next one we have on this list is Tecmo Bowl. It says Tecmo Bowl was a football game full of firsts in the industry thanks to the NFL Players Association's license. It was the first game to feature real NFL players. It says the Nintendo version is considered a downgrade from the arcade version, but really, Tecmo Bowl is one of those games that everybody that's into a game like this loves. This game is loved by so many people that are into these football games. Is it a top 10 best game ever made? It's for sure the best football game we ever saw on the NES. It definitely goes above and beyond for all the other ones. Top 10 best game, I would say it's a top 10 if I was adding a football game to a top 10 best list. And I had to pick a football game or a sports game. I would definitely put this if I had categories. If I was picking categories, which might be maybe what they're doing, but I don't think so. Maybe Mikey is super into Tecmo Bowl. Maybe that's why this is on here. It's a great game. And I would put it on here if there was that caveat of you need to pick one football sports title, because obviously you're picking this one. All right, the next one he's got on the list is Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. And now I'm going to read this because I think we need to understand why they put this one on this list, because I feel like a lot of people are going to disagree with this one. So it says, straying from the series norm can be disastrous, but it can also attract new fans. Simon's Quest ditched the linear exploration and introduced a more open-ended exploration style, which added a sense of adventure and discovery. The day-night cycle was groundbreaking at the time of the game's release. While the game is flawed, its legacy was carried on by all the mechanics and ideas carried forward in future releases in the series. So they mention in here that they kind of eliminated that linear exploration. I understand that this one is part of that Metroidvania genre, why it's kind of is there. But a lot of people don't like this one. That day-night cycle, they talk about it in this article. They don't mention that it happens like every 2 minutes. And then I've got to either fight these harder monsters, or I've got to stand around in town and wait for daytime to come so the villagers come back. And then it's got like that text box that comes up and tells you. They did a lot with Castlevania 2. They changed a lot with Castlevania 2. Some things for sure came forward, and we saw them in future releases. But it should be noted that they went back to a more linear story and gameplay for the third one. And the third one, although it is very, very difficult, is honestly probably a better game than the second one. Even the first one, if we're putting games on this list because Tecmo Bowl, you know, it's the best of its genre. Contra is on this list. The first one because it was so groundbreaking and so awesome. Tetris because of what it did. I would probably put the first one on this list. Would I put Castlevania 2 on a top 10 list? Probably not so much. If I had to put a Castlevania game on here, even though it's real difficult, probably number 3 on the NES is the one I would pick. I don't know if I would put Castlevania. I don't know many people that would put Castlevania 2 on a best games ever made list on the NES. I just can't see that happening for a lot of people. I understand there's people that think it's awesome and love it. I just don't think it should be on a top 10 best NES games ever made. Even for all the groundbreaking attempts it made, there was more stumbles than I think there was successes in Castlevania 2. All right, the next one on the list, the second last one we've got on this list is Legend of Zelda. I don't even need to read this because it's a classic. Legend of Zelda is an iconic game for so many people on the NES. And back then, it was so different. Without the internet and without the ability to just search it, you had to buy Nintendo Powers, or you had to, get those tips and tricks from your friends on the playground. It was a whole different ballgame back then, and the original Legend of Zelda landed at the right time for that to really be something that captured a lot of people, and a lot of people were really excited about this. It is a great game, so amazing. The first one in that Legend of Zelda series. This type of Legend of Zelda game is my bread and butter right here. This one, Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, the ones on the Game Boy Color. Honestly, this one started it all. This definitely, in my opinion, should be on almost every top 10 list when we're talking about the NES, because it's an amazing game. It is absolutely groundbreaking. They talk about how it lays the foundation of one of the most beloved franchises in gaming history. It gave us Link. It gave us Zelda. Honestly, The Legend of Zelda, the original Legend of Zelda on the NES, is 1,000% a top 10 game. It should be in there with Super Mario Bros. 3. It just should naturally exist in a top 10 list when we talk about the NES. All right, the last one we're gonna look at here is Krusty's Funhouse. Why would we put Krusty's Funhouse on a top 10 best NES games ever made? Let's read the reasoning. It says Krusty's Funhouse replicated the cartoon style of The Simpsons perfectly with its graphic style on the NES. It's one of the best puzzle platformers on the systems. Players had to lead rats to extermination machines, which required strategy, thinking, and planning. The gameplay loop was distinct and stood out on the systems dominated by action-packed games. It says Krusty's Funhouse doesn't have the critical acclaims that most games on this list, but it offers a different style of platformer and has connections to the Simpsons brand. Because they've got this listed as a puzzle platformer, okay, I think there's better. I get that the graphics in this one are pretty cool looking. I really enjoy Krusty's Funhouse. Do not get me wrong. I enjoy Krusty's Funhouse, but I would never put this on a top 10 list. This almost feels like a little bit of a troll here. There's so many better puzzle games. There's even more intricate, more adventurous puzzle platformers. If I was picking another puzzle game to put it on here, any game in the Lolo series is amazing. Solomon's Key, Fire and Ice. There's a lot of really great puzzle, even puzzle platformer games. On the NES, I definitely don't think I would put this on here. Again, if this whole list was differentiated by we're picking one from each genre, this might land if you had to pick a puzzle platformer for a top 10 list. There's no Mega Man on here. This list didn't have Mega Man at all. Not a single Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3. Neither one of them landed on this list. They should be on this list before Krusty's Funhouse, for sure. What other games do you think would land on a top 10 list? Give me your top 10 best NES games ever made in the comments. Let me know what you think, if some of these ones should even be on here, or if you would have picked different games. And we'll see. This list has personality behind it, I guess.